Hey everyone, it's Maritza of the Sibyl Heart, and welcome to another tarot reading for the collective. I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. All I know is that I have this really strong feeling, and it's in my heart chakra, that I have to give a tarot reading or whatever this is. I actually I don't do that type of thing. I don't well, I guess I do. Yeah. Never mind. There are times when I do feel called, even though I haven't put it in my schedule, like that I should give a tarot reading. I should say that I only use the celestial movements. That's what I call them. I don't know what they're. Celestial movements, like when Venus moves into Capricorn, or the sun moves into Pisces, or when the moon goes from waxing to waning. Those are the times when I do tarot readings, because they're big moments, and they could be affecting us energetically in a lot of different ways. So that's when I feel is the appropriate time. You could do a tarot reading whenever you want, but for me, that's like, especially when it's dealing with the collective, that's when celestial movements and tarot readings and stuff have the biggest power. So I have my Sacred Symbols deck and my Supra Oracle deck. Let's see. I missed something. Sun in Capricorn. And I missed, I believe Venus is also going into Capricorn. Let me just start pulling some cards and we'll talk about them. What should I title this video? Should it be Winter Holiday Special? I think that's what I'll call it. Trust. Oh, I really like this card. Trust. And then Supra Oracle. Immediately I'm thinking stuff like trust the process, yourself, your inner self, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're experiencing. You should trust it. What's that saying? All in good time. You have to trust time. Individuation reversed. Individuation, is when you kind of figure out what you are, who you are, what you believe in. Basically, you're integrating your unconscious and conscious sides, and they're not as far apart as they were. So, before the individuation process. So, how this usually happens is you have a challenging time, and so all of your shadow aspect comes out, or whatever it is that you use to protect yourself, defend yourself. But you break through those barriers, your defenses, and you figure out how to manage yourself through your challenging times. And then you take what you've learned from those moments and you kind of reinforce yourself, rebuild, because often it is a time of self-destruction, especially if you have unhealthy coping mechanisms, which are destructive. And you, through going through your challenges and overcoming them, you find out who you are and what you're capable of. And so you take all of that in and you restructure, you rebuild yourself from the ground up. That is you taking whatever your shadow aspect is, sort of integrating it to your conscious self. And you become a more complete version. I wouldn't say you're 100% complete, because none of us are. And it is oftentimes, we sometimes go backwards if the challenging time is too much. So we sort of regress to how we were before, but it gets easier and easier to go back to this integrated, individuated version of ourselves. So I hope that sort of helps to understand a bit better what individuation means, or hopefully, if this is your first time coming across this word, it'll pique your the definition that I've given piques your interest, and you kind of go and do your own research and figure out what it means. But that'll be careful, because it happened to me. It'll take you down a gigantic rabbit hole that you may or may not be ready for. So just a word of caution. So, trust and individuation reversed. So if you're in a moment of feeling like you're going backwards, you have to trust that you'll relearn what you've learned about yourself and really integrate it. So that feeling like you're going backwards it can be seen as a test of seeing whether you can use what you've learned in your past when you felt like you were progressing, and using what you've learned through that progress to see if you've integrated or absorbed what you've learned about yourself during your progression, instead of using your old coping habits or mechanisms. And you have to trust yourself that you are capable of applying what you've learned about yourself to the current challenge you're going through that's making you feel like you're going backwards. So I think what trust is, the kind of trust that the trust card is speaking about, is trust in yourself. Are you ready to have faith in yourself? Do you believe yourself strong enough to get through whatever challenging time you're going through? We have the 8 of Swords. We have the 2 of Swords. Interestingly, they're both blindfolded. And I would say the 2 of Swords, the blindfold, the whole thing about this card is that it's ritualistic. And I'm saying that because this person sitting is holding 2 swords in a very ritualistic way. Are they crossing? Yeah, crossing their arms. And they're blindfolded, which means that they are trusting whatever process they're going through right now. And it's a very specific moon. It's possible that this card is speaking about making a ritual for yourself that helps you. What am I trying to say? Making a ritual for yourself that helps you believe in yourself, have faith in yourself just a little bit more. But the danger there is that it can lead to magical thinking, which might eventually make you feel like you're not progressing, but regressing, going backwards on the progress that you've made rather than making progress. So we have to tread carefully. And I think the Eight of Swords is saying something like that you're going backwards on your progress. You're not really learning. You're relying too much on the ritual of things rather than using them as a boost. You're using them as a crutch rather than a boost. Perhaps. Maybe that's what's going on. Then we have the Three of Pentacles. So the Three of Pentacles makes me think, depending on your situation, you're either learning or relearning what you've learned about yourself because you're regressing on the progress that you've made. You have to relearn some things, or if this is your sort of first time kind of being aware of what process you're going through or what progress you're trying to achieve, you have to learn how you cope through your challenges. I feel like the Three of Pentacles is saying that you should be aware of the people around you who are supportive, the people around you who are dismissive, and then there might be some other people who just completely disappear because it's possible that you're no longer valuable to them. Like maybe during your more vulnerable state, before you were learning how to make progress through it, they felt like they could use you in some way. So now that you are making progress on how to get through it and you're no longer manipulative, they can't use you for whatever, and they get out of here, So keep an eye on who is helping you through it, or just like being there for you, who's giving you the emotional support that you need, who's kind of dismissing it, or like kind of making jokes about it maybe, or being dismissive about it, or kind of rolling their eyes. Don't go to those people for support. And I am sorry if it is someone close to you that you believed would help you through anything. And I'm not saying don't go, no contact with them, but just don't go to them for emotional support, because they won't be able to give it, not in the way that you need. Then we have the Five of Wands. So it is possible that whatever you're going through is causing a lot of conflict, but it's not because of you directly. It's more of like it's more than likely that they haven't dealt with whatever shadow aspects of themselves are coming up. And so they're feeling defensive and they're trying to protect themselves emotionally. And so it's causing a lot of rifts, probably, because that's what happens when people's shadow aspects bubble up without them realizing or being aware of it. And they get defensive. Some get really aggressive. Yeah, there's also that to be cautious about. But of course, it also depends on what challenge you're going through and what that brings out in people, because it's likely that I keep thinking of this phrase, like, people can only meet you where they've met themselves. So you're kind of making your progress towards self-awareness while they're still keeping themselves at the same level that you had been before. We have the moon card. So the moon, when it's full, gives light to the darkness. And even though you can't see vivid colors at night when the moon is full, you can see. You can see the outlines of things. You can kind of make your way on a path. Sort of gives you an idea about what it's like going through this process of individuation. You don't know exactly where you're going because you can't exactly see in the dark, but you can see something, and you can make your way carefully through whatever it is that you're going through. But I think the key word here is carefully. You don't want to just... This isn't a process where you just rip off the Band-Aid, right? This is slow, deliberate, and you have to trust. Because if you rip off the Band-Aid, you might be able to get through it in the moment, but it might be one of those times where you don't absorb what you've learned about yourself, and you just kind of feel relieved that you're done, over and done with whatever it is that you're going through. But then when it happens again or something similar comes up, the awareness of it, what you've learned from it, you might not be able to recall it until you'll fall back 3 steps on the 1 step you've made forward. You know what I mean? It's, what's that saying? 1 step forward, 2 steps back, that type of thing. And that's actually what might have happened. You made some progress, but now you feel like you're going all the way backwards. But remember what you've learned, or try to remember what you've learned. And tread carefully. Be careful. This is not a moment to just rip off a Band-Aid and be over and done with. And we have Judgment. This card, rather than being a judgment from something, God, let's say, or being a judgment from other people, I'm thinking this is self-judgment. You're possibly going through whatever challenge you're going through right now because you are too hard on yourself. It's causing you to be incredibly disappointed with the progress that you've made when you actually should be quite proud of how far you've come, because you've made a lot of progress, but you're downplaying it too harshly. And I don't know, that has its own whole can of worms. The inner critic is really strong. I feel like you should ask yourself, where did I learn this? Where did I hear this voice for the first time? And that could bring a lot of insight towards why you are this self-critical. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. You're gonna have your ups and downs. Some days you're gonna feel like you're making progress, moving forward, moving on, whatever it is. And other days you're gonna feel like you're stuck, or you're going backwards, or for some reason I keep thinking like you're gonna remember all of your ex-boyfriends and why those relationships ended or whatever, but it doesn't have to be related to that. That's just an image that popped into my head. I keep seeing the four guardians here, and I'm thinking you have these guardians protecting you. Maybe not protecting you, but they are the ones who are sending you messages, either through dreams or synchronicities. But there's an issue here where you're not really paying attention to that sort of thing, which is fine because they'll always keep sending you messages until you start listening and being aware. But they're there. It's your inner self. You're the one that sends you dreams when you sleep, right? Like, we don't always remember our dreams when we wake up, and that's fine. But sometimes we have a few dreams that kind of startle us awake, and we're like, oh my god. Usually the Wheel of Fortune doesn't make me think of dream work, but in this case, for whatever reason, I will suggest for some of you, maybe, if that's something that calls to you, that piques your interest, you should give dream work a try. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. So again, this is a relearning or learning process that is going to help you rebuild yourself, because the Page of Pentacles is the Page of Earth. So the Page of Pentacles is going to give you all of the materials that you need to rebuild yourself. But first you have to have the motivation to want to do that. There are people out there who kind of stay stuck in that relearning or learning phase. They just never come back up from hitting bottom, and they just stay there, and it's incredibly destructive. I'm sure some of you out there have seen this happen as well. There's just nothing we can do, right, to help them. We can try, we can keep trying, but there's just too many walls, and they're just completely not in it. But anyway, what I'm trying to say with the Page of Pentacles is that if you're willing to accept the materials that the Page of Pentacles is giving you, which is everything in this reading, then you can begin to rebuild or build from where you are right now to help yourself become stronger, a more individuated person. This process of individuation is not easy. It never is. It was never meant to be. Out of the generosity of their hearts, the Page of Pentacles is offering you the materials you need to rebuild, to strengthen, to reinforce yourself. Then we have the Empress. I was about to say the Queen of Empress, but it's just the Empress. Another Earth card. It's the Earth Goddess, Mother Earth. So what I'm seeing with these two cards, or what I'm hearing, is that the Earth provides. So, of course, that could be physical Earth, right? This is our home. This is where we are capable of living and breathing. But it can also mean the earth of your body, or the earth of your mind, where you feel the most sturdy and strong in your mind. By which I mean, like, you're not giving your mind things to worry over, or you're not constantly sabotaging your mind into thinking the worst of yourself. And that could be a big problem, right? Because we're self-critical, and Sometimes we're more harsh than we deserve to be to ourselves. I feel like the Empress is saying you deserve to speak to yourself a lot better than you have been. You are not what your self-criticizing voice says you are. You're not that. You're not those things. Then we have the Strength card. And the Strength card is saying, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with that self-criticizing creature. The lion is the king of the forest or jungle or whatever, and kings usually want things a certain way, and your self-criticizing voice is saying that you want things a certain way, that you should be doing things a certain way, and it's not, whatever it is that you're doing is complete trash and it's not perfect. It's time to be gentle with that voice and say, gentle but strong. The lion may be king, but we have an empress here. We have a mother goddess. So you should be nurturing yourself. You should be nourishing yourself rather than destroying yourself. And the bottom of the deck is the Seven of Cups. In this case, the Seven of Cups is saying once you start being gentle with yourself and muffling the self-criticizing voice until it gets quieter and quieter and quieter until there's just silence, things will become open to you. Maybe your heart will open up more and you'll be able to allow more things in. Not things, but like things that you used to hate, maybe you'll start having an interest in, and something else will come from that. Or, it could be a whole lot of different things, but I feel like your heart will open up once you allow yourself to kind of stop listening to that self-criticizing voice. And that's going to take a lot of work. Like I've been saying, the individuation process is not easy. It takes work. If you take what the Page of Pentacles and the Empress and the Strength card all giving you, it'll become easier to be less self-critical, or it'll become easier for you to overcome whatever it is that you're trying to overcome. But much of the time that does have to do with self-criticizing, that you're not good enough for such and such thing or whatever it is. Don't believe that voice. Trust that, this even smaller voice that you hear, that, oh, that's not true, or I am good enough. Believe that voice, that little voice that says all of these positive things about you. That's the voice that needs to become stronger. And that could also be what the Strength card is speaking about, is that you have this inner critic, right? But you also have this inner supporter, if that's the opposite of critic. But the inner critic is, for whatever reason, has become a stronger, louder voice. And we could also see that with the Page of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, is that you have this inner supporter that is saying all of these nice things that you wouldn't dare allow yourself to listen to. But I think it's time for you to listen to that rather than the inner critic. And your heart will open up to so many more possibilities. Whatever that means. to each of you. It could mean something different for everyone. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you for being here. And please give this video a like, leave a comment if anything has bubbled up to the surface, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alright, I will catch you in the next one. Bye.